passion igniting the light through highs and lows. We'll stand as one, a legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar, together we roar. The Detroit Lions will rise, with a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. So let's lift our voices, let's turn it up loud. For the love of the Lions, we'll always be proud.
All right. Hey, good evening. Welcome into the Tuesday night edition of Rocked On Detroit Lions. We're going to be breaking down some of the news that happened earlier today and some speculation and some rumors surrounding the Detroit Lions as to what could be happening next. But first and foremost, I got to say thank you to everybody that purchased Honolulu Blue Brewed today. It has been a big success so far. If you'd like to get yours, it is available at buymeacoffee.com/rocked on. Visit the shops. Of course, you can also visit the links that we post in various places here on X or Facebook or in the chat. It's all over the place. All the proceeds benefit Rocked On Cancer Foundation. So far, I think we've sold at least 10 bags. I think that's what we've done so far. I mean, hey, in a few hours, 10 bags, I'll take it. That's a lot of money for Rocked On Cancer Foundation. It helps us get to our goal of $50,000 by next June. So as everyone has already heard, right? I mean, it came out a couple of hours ago. I happened to be traveling to Muskegon and then had to come back. And James Houston is waived or released, whatever word you want to choose. He was waived. Kind of shocking, right? Because of the situation that the Lions have been in. Pretty low on the spectrum for depth now for defensive ends. You know, here we have a lot of people clamoring, saying the Lions need more defensive ends. They need more help. They need more pass rushers. And yet we got this guy who was one of the best to do it when he was healthy in 2022. And I just couldn't believe that the Lions went to this degree to kind of let him hang around and then released him. And so, I mean, it was a bit shocking. Now, I will say this. He hasn't produced. I don't think that that's a secret. But my question to you be, how much of that do you think is his fault? I mean, he had a pretty nasty injury last year, and he's coming back from it on a team where he's had plenty of opportunity because of injury to be able to get more snaps. I guess he just hasn't done it. So I looked at his stats. And the first thing that I noticed, 8 games, no starts, right? That's glaring alert number one. No starts at all this season. But he's been behind players like Josh Paschal. When Josh Paschal was out, he got a few extra snaps, and then Zadarius Smith comes in, and he's buried on the depth chart. Even guys like Levi Onwuzurike are getting ahead of James Houston and Mekhi Wingo. Maybe there's more to Mekhi Wingo than we realize right now. And he's ahead of James Houston. So anyway, 8 games, no starts, only 116 snaps this season, 68 on special teams, 116 on the defense. So less than 180 snaps so far for the entire season. When I look back at 2022, when he was healthy, he was in 7 games. He had more snaps. In 7 games, he played 140 snaps, 71 on special teams, but he also racked up 8 sacks and 13 pressures. And he was very efficient. Now, is there a chance that he could come back and land on the practice squad? Probably, but after Dan Campbell's comments today, probably not. So I'm not expecting James Houston to come back to the Detroit Lions in any capacity this season. I think the ship has sailed. I think his time in Detroit is over, and it's unfortunate. I mean, I've always been a supporter of James Houston. I've always been a supporter of his talent, and I think that talent still lives within him. I think that he is going to be a good football player for whatever team he lands on. And, sometimes a fresh start is what everybody needs. Sometimes you're in a toxic relationship and you just need You just need something different. You need to get rid of the old relationships and start anew. And maybe that's what's going to happen for James Houston. There's been some grumblings and some rumors. And again, it's speculation. I really don't have anything to back it up, but we've heard it. That James and AG just don't get along. They kind of butt heads. And, I don't know what it is. I really don't. But something tells me that James is still going to be a good football player in the NFL. Just didn't work out in Detroit. So the next question is, what in the world are the Lions going to do? Well, that's where we're going to go to Rumorville number 2. But before we do, let me get into a couple of things here about James Houston from some of the other media around the league. As far as, Mike Florio had some things to say, of course, right? Chris, Sims had something to say. But, Houston, like I said, he had 8 sacks in 7 games in 2022 as a rookie. He really burst onto the scene. And he missed all but 2 games of last season due to that leg injury. Now, he appeared in 8 games this season, posted just 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 QB hits, 13 pressures. He was on the field for 23% of the defensive snaps during that span. According to Dan Campbell, he said, quote, "It just never quite worked out," end quote. And that was today via Colton Pouncey. Dan Campbell also said, "I wish him the best of luck, and sometimes you just need a fresh start," end quote. And I think that's all it is. I really do. I think that's all it is that he just needs a fresh start. Something's going on internally there that it's just not working out. Because I personally, oh my goodness, Trace, what are you doing? Trace is at it again, y'all. She is in the Christmas spirit. She just gave away another 20 Rocked On Detroit Lions memberships. I really appreciate you, Trace. You're incredible. Really appreciate all the hard work that you put in for the channel. If you're not a member now, you're going to be one soon. And I'll tell you what, to keep that membership going, you just have to let YouTube know in the next 30 days that you want to keep it going. So welcome, Devin Siak, 313 man, Jay Cruisin, All Balls No D, Ed O'Neill, Whiskey Neat, El Ferrier or El Rafir, Jay Smart, Your Dad, Dylan Montroy, The Dreamweaver, Fresh Fade, The Master Barber, Andrew Isham, L Martinez, James Willis, Brettster, Gretchen Midona, Chris Mix, Keitho, and Phoenix. All welcome in to the Detroit Lions, or the Rocked On Detroit Lions membership group, and thanks to Tracy for rocking it out for us. So James Houston, look, is it something that he did? I don't know. Is there an issue with him and AG? I don't know. There's speculation. Is there issues with him on the field? I thought that he was actually playing quite well in the last couple of games that he got in. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, some of the tape that I watched over the last couple of weeks, I really thought that James was playing pretty well. I mean, given the fact that he just hasn't played a ton. And I'll say this too about his injury. A lot of people were concerned about his bend. I don't think that there was an issue with his bend. When you compare this year to 2022, I think he was moving just fine. Now, there's things that we don't see, right? We're not in practice, so we can't see everything that they're doing. When we're when we're watching the games, we're kind of limited to those, 3 or 4 seconds of game tape. It's not a lot to go off of. So I've always been a truster, if you will, of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, and whatever they decide, is best for this team. I'm all in. I'm all in. And right now, I think that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are looking at, the last half of this season. And not only are they trying to prepare for what's ahead, but the playoffs. How can they get better now? And how can they make sure that they have enough to get through the playoff run? And that's where I'm going to head to next with some of the rumors. So this isn't a 1-for-1 trade, right? You don't cut James Houston. You don't get rid of James Houston and then bring in a corner, right? You would think that they're probably going to bring in a linebacker or another edge. I don't really know who's available. Haven't done a ton of research. I literally got home 35 minutes ago. But what I will say is this. It's kind of odd that Shaquille Barrett decided that he wanted to unretire a day before, or was it today, that James Houston gets let go. And I don't think that there's no bylaws against the Lions reaching out to a retired player. There's no tampering, even though Shaquille Barrett is under contract, I believe, with the Miami Dolphins. He requested, to re-enlist into the NFL. And I think that, at his age and his production, maybe he would be a great fit. It's another veteran leader, right? It's another veteran that has time on his side in the NFL, has done a few things in the NFL. Let me bring up his stats real quick. So he is 6'2", 250. So he's almost very similar in size to what James Houston was. 131 games throughout his career, 59 sacks, 289 tackles, 22 forced fumbles. Now, he's put a lot of time in, right? He's played since 2015. So he has 8 seasons under his belt. But every year, he's posted some sack numbers. In 2019, he had 19 and a half sacks. He never came close to that ever again. But at 59 sacks over 8 seasons, I don't know, you do the math. What is that? 6.5, 7. Yeah, it's like 7.4 sacks a season. It's not terrible. I think we could have got that out of James Houston, but hey, Shaquille is a much better football player than James Houston. And he's not terribly old. What is he? He's 31 or 32. He's 32, just now 32, at 32 in 9 days. He just turned 32 on November 17th. So I think that Shaquille Barrett could be a potential here, if I'm reading the tea leaves right. And then there's the other guy, the guy that I wanted the Lions to pick up in free agency from day one, and that's Steven Nelson, the former Houston Texan, cornerback, phenomenal cornerback. I can't believe that he wasn't picked up, early in free agency. And then what ended up happening is that he retired. And he pretty much told everybody, hey, look, I want to focus on family. I have a newborn on the way, and that's what I want to focus on. And the Lions did reach out to him. So the Lions have been in contact with Steven Nelson for the past couple of weeks, which is the rumor. I think Woodward Sports put it out. There's a whole bunch of people that put out the information. I'm not surprised. I pegged Steven Nelson as a perfect fit to this team. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out in free agency. I don't know if they contacted him in free agency. I would be remiss, if they didn't. I can imagine that they didn't. And at the rate of pay that maybe he's looking at to make a Super Bowl run and to be on a pretty damn good football team like the Detroit Lions, perfect opportunity. I assume he's had his newborn by now. Probably spent a little bit of dad time at home, hopefully staying in shape. Maybe he's ready to rock and roll. I'm hearing that the rumor is leading more towards a cornerback of Steven Nelson's caliber. And then the left shoe dropped. And that has me concerned. Because there's a guy that's been posting all over Twitter all day today. And he's a former Detroit Lion. And I know a lot of you are probably about to say, you got to be kidding me. Do you have any idea who I'm talking about? I put him in the thumbnail, I think. I tried to cover up his number a little bit, so make you guess. Let me show you. I queued up the old Twitter machine here. Somewhere. Oh, shoot. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, it moved. Hold on. Oh, let me get it pulled back up. Un momento, por favor. I really think that there's going to be a meltdown in Detroit. Now, look, the guy's got experience. I'll give him that. But he did not have the best exit from the Detroit Lions. And that I think is going to have people a little bit concerned. And I guess the bigger question is he better than Kindle Vildor right now? So here we go. This is the guy I'm talking about. None other than Jerry Jacobs. So Jerry Jacobs has been all over Twitter today and yesterday. And since yesterday morning, he said, every Sunday, I'm trying to realize how half of these folks got a job over me is crazy. Okay. And then he followed that up with, well, that's not a shot at nobody. I just know I'm supposed to be out there on that field every Sunday, 100. Okay, I get it, Jerry. You're confident. You're well rested. And then he followed it up with, it's on the way. Prayers up. Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. And I'll just say this. I know exactly what he's saying right there. There's two parts to that. You gotta stay ready so you ain't got to get ready, which means he's been staying in game shape. He's been practicing wherever he's been practicing. He's been hitting the weights, probably running every day, making sure that he's going through situational stuff as much as possible. He's ready to go. Now, joining a team, he's probably going to need a couple of weeks to kind of get everything. But coming to the Lions, he already knows the defense. And he already knows the majority of the guys on this squad. So it'd kind of be an easy fit. Would any of you guys trust Jerry Jacobs to come back? Should I put up a poll question here? Would any of you guys trust Jerry Jacobs to come back? I have a feeling there's going to be a couple of creators that are going to melt down. I know for a fact it will happen. I know for a fact it will happen. Especially one in particular who's pretty funny with it. So here we go. Would you trust Jerry Jacobs to come back and play well? Do you think that Brad Holmes is really going to entertain this idea? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But then he followed that tweet up with this morning. He said, I love my former Lions fans. Laugh out loud. I really do. Some of y'all a little iffy, but it's all love at the end of the day. Who's iffy? You're not talking about Ifeatu Melifonwu. I'm sure that's not what he meant. Who's iffy? I mean, how can a Lions fan be iffy? Our fans are the best in the world. Hands down, bar none, we have the best fan base. You don't see any other fans traveling like we do. Ever. And then, right after that, he said, but on another note, I hope everyone enjoying today, and I hope everyone enjoying this Thanksgiving week. God bless. Now, let me go back to 3 tweets ago. He said, it's on the way. Does that mean the contract is on the way? What else could be on the way? Is baby on the way? I don't know. Grubhub? Uber Eats? What else is on the way, Jerry? Are you on the way? I don't know. I'll say it again. I trust Dan. I trust Brad Holmes. If they bring Jerry back, I'm going to welcome the dude in with open arms. And I hope he puts it down on the field if he does come back. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And as far as Kindle Vildor goes, he did struggle in this last game. He absolutely did. But, I think that everybody deserves a little bit of grace, right? I mean, he's been with the team all season, hasn't had a ton of snaps, like very, very, very few. And he just needs a little bit of time. I think everybody does. And I think the biggest problem for Kindle Vildor is I feel like he's just a zone corner. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not reading him right. But every time I see him, here, let me get this crap off. Every time I see him in man, he struggles. He struggles big time. So far through 2024, he's only had 127 snaps. and he's played 140 on special teams. So he's been playing in every game on special teams. He's played half of our special team snaps. Now, he's appeared in 11 games with 1 start. And let's see, what did he have in the last game? I think he had like 48 snaps or something like that in the last game. So, I mean, a third of his defensive snaps, or roughly a quarter of his defensive snaps, no, it'd be a third, came in the last game. So he just hasn't had a ton of time to play, corner and be out there on an island and, definitely playing in a man press scheme that the Lions play predominantly. I mean, that we play man more than anybody. So I don't know. What are your overall thoughts here? We got 57% are saying yes, they would trust Jerry Jacobs. You got 28 votes. 43% say no. You guys are trusting Jerry a little bit more than I am right now, but I trust Brad and Dan. That's what it's all about to me. And then, Nick P says, I guarantee Mosley will start Thursday over Vildor. I mean, he could, but I think there's the other issue there too, is that Mosley hasn't played at all other than, a few snaps and special teams this past weekend. And he's got to get reacclimated, right? I mean, I think the one thing we don't want to do, Nick, is I don't think that Brad or Dan want to press him, to kind of force him in. And I know you can't be scared of injury, right? But he's a guy that's kind of fragile. At least he has been the last few seasons. But he can be a damn good cornerback when he's healthy and he's out there and he's able to play. I can only imagine being a player that has gone through those major injuries, 3 major injuries, 3 seasons in a row. In the back of your mind, we're only human, that you're probably thinking, what about the next snap? What about the next? I mean, every play, it's like, whew, I made it through that snap. Damn well he's thinking about that stuff. And that's why you got to kind of, ease him in a little bit and let him get his confidence back. I think we saw that with J-Mo. He just didn't have the confidence after, coming back from his college injury. And it took him a minute to kind of feel comfortable. Now he's flying. But it took almost 2 seasons for him to finally feel like himself. At least what we could see, from the tape, from watching the game, you can tell that J-Mo doesn't have any worries about anything. He just goes out there and plays. So I think there's something to that. I think there's, yeah, he was the number 1 for San Fran. It's just all about not playing for 3 years, right? 3 years he hasn't played. Let's see who just put that up there. Salty says, is Jacobs going to get better than a 32 PFF grade and be rated 78 of 78 qualifying cornerbacks? Oh, that was Vildor last week. Yeah, Vildor struggled. He struggled big time. All right, let's go through some news while I'm up here. This is a non-planned but planned live. I just wanted to talk about a few of these rumors and the speculation here as to what the Lions are doing. Again, I will reiterate, the Lions, I feel, are up to something. They're obviously moving off of James Houston for a reason. But it's who they're bringing in. I would say it's corner number 1. I think that corner is the position they're trying to bring in. Steven Nelson makes perfect sense. Gives the Lions much needed versatility. He gives the Lions a lot of opportunity to be able to get through the season with somebody that knows what they're doing. And he's damn good as a man corner. Matter of fact, while I'm talking about Steven, let's bring up some of his old PFF. Let's just go down that road for just a second and see where he was scoring. So last season, he had 4 interceptions. He was a 72.4 overall. He was given up a passer rating of a 70.6. That's great. That's absolutely great. Let's look at Kendall Vildor for just a second. I know we don't want to do this, but last weekend, Kendall Vildor gave up I guess it wasn't that bad. Passer rating allowed was only 72.3. I don't know how he managed that. I have no idea how he managed that. He gave up 11 yards per reception. He has a 38.7 overall PFF grade. He was targeted 13 times. He gave up 7 receptions, but somehow only a 72.3 passer rating, which, I mean, that's a damn good passer rating against. You know what I mean? Anything in the low 70s to 60s on down. I mean, that's phenomenal work. So Steven Nelson in 2022, 66.7 overall. He was allowing a passer rating of 78.3. In pass rush, he was a 91.1. In run defense, that's probably the only thing that maybe Steven Nelson is a little bit of a knock on, for this defense, is his run defense is not the greatest, but his coverage grade, 73.7, pretty solid. Pretty solid run defense grades. And when you look at the teams that he's gone up against, again, these are teams that we're more than likely going to face this season. So you've got Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Denver. So there's still some teams that, he's real familiar with that we're probably going to see at some point, or potential to see at some point throughout this season. But overall, when you watch Steven Nelson's tape and you watch him work like I did this past spring, I haven't watched any tape recently, but I watched a lot this past spring. I thought he was an excellent cover corner that excelled in man. Now, I don't have, his man splits. Let me see if I can find it. Like how often he's in man versus how often he was in zone. And I don't see it. But that's all right. I know the dude can play. All right, let's look around the league real quick. What do we have going on for Lions news and any other news? Who else do we have in tonight? Problem Steven Nelson isn't coming back to be a backup, so who is going to be the bench? Amik? Yeah, I don't know that Steven Nelson wouldn't want to be a role player. I mean, I think that he probably would. I mean, why he wants a ring, right? I mean, why wouldn't you want to be a role player? Maybe get a start, here or there, but just be there and have an opportunity, to be part of a winning program. And God, that's so unfamiliar to say, isn't it? As Detroit Lions fans, to be part of a winning program. It's like drinking with your pinky up, We've arrived, finally. We've arrived. I got a question for you guys. So I seen this earlier today too. Amon-Ra St. Brown as a punt returner. How many of you guys were cringing watching Amon-Ra St. Brown back there in punt return? Be honest. Be honest, because my stomach was turning. Well, now the vote for Jerry Jacobs is now even at 50%. I was cringing. Like my stomach was in knots. I did not want to see him return the ball at all. Like just fair catch it, be done. And I know we're not supposed to fear injury, but I could just see what was going to happen. We lose Amon-Ra, and I hate to say it, but that could be the season. We've lost too many players. We absolutely have just lost way too many players. But anyway, talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown, in the middle of last week's game, a lot of us were worried about injury risk, and now St. Brown is on the injury report with a knee injury, but he is expected to play this week. I don't know when that knee injury happened, but Campbell told 97-1 The Ticket that Amon-Ra was the most reliable choice at the moment. What about Khalil Dorsey? I thought that he was pretty decent back there. I mean, if you really want a weapon back there, you put J-Mo back there, right? I mean, he's a guy that can burn it up. This is what Dan Campbell said. He said, why Saint was in there? Because Leaf got hurt. So now that we're in another week, we're going to have to we are we are going to have probably a different returner. And if we need Saint in a critical situation, then we'll use him. But that was really why he was in there, because he's sure-handed and we know he'll get the job done. And so he's just so damn reliable. If he wasn't that reliable, maybe we wouldn't put him back there. So I think there's your answer. We're not going to expect to have Amon-Ra St. Brown returning punts again anytime soon, unless we're in a critical situation. And then he was asked in a press conference about the punt returner situation again. And his answer, I think this is prior to Detroit, he says, if you just read the words, it tells a completely different story. Here's the quote. He says, I'm still trying to think about that because part of me says, use Saint again because he is the most reliable. So we may just do that. You know what? We're going to do that. Oh boy. Dan, come on. Is he being serious? Is he just screwing with us? I think that Dan gets that we're all a little bit worried because it's right here. J-Rod, how you doing, buddy? It's all right here. We are so close. I mean, shit, we're close to locking up a wild card spot this weekend or this week. Yeah, a few things need to happen, but we are that close. We would be the first team to lock it in, this many weeks out. That's insane. And I think that that's why a lot of Lions fans are just kind of like, hey, can we just be as careful as we can be? But at the same time, this is football, y'all. Like, injuries happen. It's not normal to pull out starters. Like, these guys are expected to play the entire 4 quarters. It is highly unusual that you're pulling starters out, not once, but twice for almost an entire 4th quarter in 2 different games. Like, that just doesn't happen. You don't see that. But when you hang 50-plus burgers on a couple of teams and they don't even put up a touchdown in the game, well, that kind of gives you an opportunity to rest some players. Nick P says, I'm worried about Thursday. All these injuries in Chicago is healthy. I think Chicago steals one. I hope you're wrong. Bo Booth says that Dan Campbell's trolling. I hope so. Detroit Grit says, no reason for St. Brown to do it. Vaki and Dorsey are return guys for a reason. That's where I'm at. I agree with you, Bo. Jack2125 says Dan likes to mess with the media. He has been. Let's just put it this way. Dan's been on one the last couple of weeks. He is so high right now on this season. He is so confident about this team and where this team is headed and all the amazing things that this team has done. He's a different Dan right now. He's feeling it. But on the other side, he's also got all the pressure of the world on his shoulders right now. So there's that too. Bill Collier doesn't want to see Saint on returns. I don't either. Who else is in here today? Kevin Williams says he got rocked on that return and banged his knee up. So Kevin Williams, so Saint hurt his knee on one of the returns? How's that for irony? Not cool. Not cool at all. Injury updates from Sunday. That was yesterday's news. We don't want that one. Well, we want injury updates from today. I want to know what's going on. It's been a long day. Here, you know what? Since we were just talking about playoffs, here, let's roll through it for just a second. Playoffs? Yeah, we're talking about playoffs. Here you go. The first way the Lions can wrap it up this week and at least be in the playoffs, Detroit wins. Everything that happens, Detroit has to win. A San Francisco loss or tie, that straight across the board. All 6 ways the Lions can do this. We have to win, and San Francisco has to lose or tie. The other thing that has to happen in all scenarios is Arizona has to lose or tie. And then the fourth thing that has to happen is a Seattle loss and a Tampa Bay loss or tie. That's the first way. So Detroit win, San Francisco loss or tie, Arizona loss or tie, Seattle loss, Tampa Bay loss or tie. if I have a free bet left in FanDuel, I'm going to bet that exact thing. Got to speak it into existence. It's going to happen. I would love to just get in now and not have to worry about the playoffs, but that's going to be a video for later. I'm going to talk about playoff scenarios, and it's kind of an interesting situation, what could happen. And that idiot Nick Wright that keeps putting this crap out, calling Jared Goff a civilian, and then said something today or yesterday, I don't remember which day it was, but he said, you know, you got to watch out for these Lions. Anything can happen. You know, they can lose the next couple of games in a row because we have so many games on top of each other with no time off, and everything could turn. We could end up being the 5th seed by next week. Well, it's just next week. Still got the rest of the season. The guy just does not like the Lions for whatever reason. I don't get it. Everyone else has kind of turned around, turned the other cheek, giving us a little bit of our flowers. Better the Hunt's in the house. David Lyon says, I want to fight Nick Wright. Hey, we could probably make that happen. Right? Put enough money up on the line. You know, I mean, if Jake Paul can do it, why can't we do it? Just kidding. Ed O'Neill says, I hope DC is using the Nick Wright stuff as motivation. I'm sure all those guys are just laughing at him. I mean, the guy is so butthurt about something. He has nothing better to do than to pick on the best quarterback statistically right now in the NFL, and it's not even close. Like, what Jared Goff is doing is insanity. Screw Nick Wright, man. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He just wants to pick on the Lions just to pick on the Lions because, you know, that's probably all he's done his whole life is look down on the Lions, and it is what it is. You know what? We were crap for decades, and now we're not. So deal with it, right? Here's your first injury update. David Montgomery is likely to play on Thanksgiving as of today. Who knows how that will trend out over the next 48 hours. But Sonic and Knuckles could be back in action again on Thursday, starting at 12:30. The signs are looking up for Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, but most importantly, David Montgomery and his shoulder injury appears, that he should be okay. This is according to Colton Pouncey, so I mean, I kind of trust in the source here, right? Colton's a good dude, and we'll see where that trends out. But David Montgomery should be okay as of right now. Let's look at the next injury update. I heard that it was going to be unlikely that Taylor Decker is going to go, which that one's a big one. That one is definitely a big one. All right, this one's the newest one from Pride of Detroit. No practice today for Khalif Raymond. We're not expecting Khalif to be back for a few weeks. Taylor Decker, no practice today with a knee. And Carlton Davis, no practice with the thumb and the knee. Now, as of Tuesday, it's not looking good for those three. So Raymond, Decker, or Davis not looking to play on Thursday. Now, there's still an outside chance. You know, obviously, there's always an outside chance for these guys. They are highly questionable, if not probably doubtful at this point. But anything can change over the next, what do we got? At least 36 hours. It's not a lot of time. And then there was DJ Reader. DJ Reader had an illness, and I don't see an update on him. Oh, here we go. He was in full practice, so he was upgraded from no practice, so he must be feeling better. And then Tyrion Arnold, also full practice, still dealing with the groin injury. So Reader appears to have put his illness behind him, which that's incredible. I mean, I don't know how he did that in 48 hours. Must not have been that bad. But he returned to full practice today, so that's encouraging. And Tyrion Arnold, look, groins are funny. You guys know as well as I do. Just one wrong turn, and that groin can be inflamed again. So I don't know if Tyrion's going to play. I don't know if Carlton's going to play. We'll find out here in a couple of days. We'll find out for sure tomorrow what's going to happen. And then, by the way, I'll be doing live stream on Thursday. As I know right now, I'm probably not going to go to the game, which is a bummer. But if I don't, I'll do a live stream with everybody. We'll have some turkey, whatever. I'll be sitting here eating turkey with you guys. We'll have some fun. So if you want to join in for the fun, let's do it. I know it's a family day, so I don't know. Maybe not a lot of people will join in, but it is what it is. You guys are like my family on Thanksgiving, so we'll just do it. Bobu says Knuckles just needs to put the piano on his shoulder and make some music. There you go. Yeah, Nick P, I heard that Khalif may be on IR potentially. But that's another thing, right? Like juggling this IR is very difficult. So sometimes you might have to burn a roster spot and just leave a guy injured and not on IR. And that can happen too, where they struggle to move guys up and down and you start running out of room. And that's another good question. So Nick P just brought up another good thing in here too. And that's Penei Sewell. Are we finally going to see Penei Sewell at left tackle? Because I am quite worried about Montez Sweat and what the Chicago defense brings to Jared's blind side. I don't want to see Jared have an issue on his blind side. So either the offense is going to have to, do a lot of chips and protection on the left side of the offensive line. They're going to have to bring in an extra tight end, or they're going to have to probably run an H-back and clear the H-back, on the left tackle side to at least prevent some of the quick penetration and give Jared Goff at least, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9 seconds of time to be able to get that ball out. So I'm hoping that that's what we'll see this week. The last, couple of times we haven't had Taylor Decker, they didn't really do a whole lot of that. And I think that we kind of learned our lesson, or at least, I did by watching the game. Maybe they'll, add some protection for Jared Goff this time. At least put Penei over there. And I know it takes a lot to go through walkthroughs if you're on the right side and you haven't done any of the work on the left side, or vice versa, especially for somebody like Skipper who doesn't get a lot of time. That can be kind of detrimental to game day. That's where penalties start to come in, flags, false starts, you name it, delay a game. That's where that stuff starts to creep in. We don't want to see that either. And Jamarco Jones, I would love to see Jamarco Jones get in the game. I'm surprised that he hasn't yet. I'm really surprised that he hasn't played over anybody else. Bobu says Crazy Legs Goff is going to be rolling out to the right. Yeah, the giraffe is going to be on the move. He's been a little bit more mobile the last couple of games, and I think that's by purpose, right? And we've noticed it for the last couple of games that Jared Goff has been rolling out, has been more mobile at trying to extend the play or at least open up the play. If you guys remember, last season, Jared was always rolling out, and he had that play to Laporta every single time it worked. I love seeing Jared move a little bit, and maybe that's, like I mentioned in the morning show, that's just something that you're going to see more of out of Goff, for the rest of the season, kind of adding a new wrinkle, opening up the playbook a little bit more, and bringing another dimension, to the Lions offense. So Ed O'Neill says the coaching staff is stubborn. Don't get your hopes up. They're stubborn, but they're smart, man. This is the best coaching staff I have ever witnessed in Detroit. They're absolutely excellent at what they do. I trust in what they do. So, Detroit Lions injury report. It's not that terrible. Recap it real quick. Terry and Arnold, DJ Reader, full practice as of today, which is great news. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery still limited. Sounds like David Montgomery should be okay to get some game action. It might be a Jahmyr Gibbs kind of day though too. And I'm sure they're going to carry an extra running back into the game. Definitely going to carry an extra offensive lineman or two into the game. Probably going to carry 3 tight ends into the game. So where is that going to limit us? Who are we going to lose? Are we going to be down a receiver for the game? Potentially. Maybe we only have, 5 up instead of 6. We'll see what happens. Let's see what we got going on for the rest of the news, and then we'll get out of here for tonight. Let's see. Yeah, I'm really not seeing a whole lot right now. There's just not a lot to report, other than the speculation stuff. Aiden Hutchinson injury update. So this was 3 days ago. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but the Aiden Hutchinson injury update is pretty simple. He's showing progress. That's about it. He's taking some steps in the pool. Keep in mind that when you're in the pool, that you're relieving about 75% or more of your body weight off of your feet. And he's at, shoulder level. So that's at least 75% or more. I'd done some similar training like that when I had to go through physical therapy. And yeah, I mean, it's a world of difference. If you guys have been in a pool, I mean, it's like you're walking on a cloud. So it's really nothing to report on Aiden. He's making progress. I've always been very doubtful that there's any opportunity for him to come back. Like Dan Campbell said, if anybody can come back, it would be him. I mean, so there's always that possibility, but I just don't see the necessity of rushing him back and, potentially having another injury situation. I would hate to see that for Aiden. We need him next year, especially with Zadarius Smith now on the squad, DJ Reader for next season, and everybody else that we have signed for next year. You think we're dominant now, wait till next season, because this team's going to be even more dominant next season. We got a great thing cooking here. I don't want to see the Lions ruin it by rushing somebody back. So to recap tonight's live stream, the speculation is this. The Detroit Lions, well, this is not speculation. The truth is this. The Detroit Lions have waived James Houston earlier this afternoon. And corresponding moves, the rumors are this. Steven Nelson has been contacted over the last couple of weeks. Cornerback, former Texan, one of the better cornerbacks available, who's just been sitting on the couch. And the rumor is that they are, close to bringing somebody else in to help this cornerback room get through some of these injuries and be better prepared. They still have Emmanuel Mosley that can step in. Just don't know how long it's going to be until Mosley's actually ready to contribute a lot of snaps defensively outside of special teams. The other thing to keep your eyes peeled for is a linebacker. So Shaquille Barrett has wanted to unretire. He requested to unretire and re-enlist in the NFL. Don't know if the Miami Dolphins have granted this yet, but be that as it may, the Lions are down a linebacker. It is kind of odd that Shaquille Barrett decided to unretire now after Alex Anzalone has suffered a multiple week injury, won't be back till the end of the season. So keep your eyes on that as well. And lastly, who else could really make a difference in this team right away that has experience? And that's Jerry Jacobs. So Jerry Jacobs has been all over the Twitter machine talking about wanting to play, feels like he's better than a lot of these players that are out there, gave a shout out to the Lions fans, and then said something's on the way. So we'll see. Is it a private plane? Is it a contract? Is Jerry Jacobs headed back to Detroit? You guys let me know what you think in the comments. I seen what the chat said, and the chat said this. Now that we've had 88 votes, 56% said that they would not trust Jerry Jacobs back on this team to play for the Lions. I guess I'm not surprised. But would you pick him over Kindle Vildor, or do you kind of put both of them in the same box? I mean, last year, those were the two guys that were out there playing. And between the two of them, they struggled quite a bit. But I will say, they didn't have the benefit of the safeties that we have right now, playing at an all-pro level. They didn't have the benefit of Amik Robertson, who's an absolute dog in the nickel. They also didn't have a benefit of one of the best defensive lines in the league, because it's not just Aiden this year, right? Now you have Ali McNeil, Josh Pascal, DJ Reader, Levi Onwuzurike. I mean, all of these guys are playing at a high level. You've seen what they're doing. And shout out to JRod616. He just became a member for 3 months. He's part of the Level 1 Lions faithful, man. Appreciate you, buddy. Wishing everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I too will echo that same sentiment, J-Rod. Of course, I wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry. Rise and Grind Morning Show starting at 8 a.m. And then also, if you guys have not purchased yet, Honolulu Blue Brew. This is my special brand. It goes towards Rocked On Cancer Foundation. The links are everywhere, all over the the YouTube and on the Twitter. All your pre-orders that get in before the 12th of December will be delivered before Christmas. So great Christmas gifts, good stocking stuffers. It is a really good coffee. This is my everyday brew. It's the Milky Way medium dark roast, and it's got toasted malt, milk chocolate, and sweet walnut notes, and you're absolutely going to love it. I promise you. It's an Ethiopian and Arabica blend. Comes in a whole bean form, so you can grind it up at home. and enjoy a good cup of coffee while you're watching the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving, right? Or Christmas by that time. So you guys have a wonderful night. Appreciate you guys joining Rock Down Detroit Lions. We'll see you back here at 8 a.m. for the Rise and Grind morning show. You guys have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from uperlights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uper Lights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit uperlights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from uperlights.com.